Hello, internet world. I am doing a live cooking video today for my 7th graders. We are doing the oven baked chicken tenders recipe that is on your digital classroom. So I'm just getting some stuff out in order to do that. Okay, so I need breadcrumbs. I need chicken. Okay. I do not have buttermilk at home. The recipe calls for either buttermilk or eggs, so we're going to use eggs today. Okay. We need flour, and then we need some different seasonings. Okay, so I have salt and fresh cracked pepper, which are 2 of my favorites. This is kosher salt and some fresh cracked pepper. And then I'll show you guys some other stuff that you can add to it to kind of boom, zing up the flavor a little bit. All right, so let's get started. First things first, my oven is on and I have lined a baking sheet with aluminum foil. Okay, I hate dishes. Okay, you've been in class by now, you know this. I hate dishes. So here's the deal. Am I still going to have to wash this pan? Probably. Am I going to have to scrub it? No. Okay. Animal Crossing and a demo. Oh boy. Yeah, I know, right? So I lined my baking sheet with aluminum foil. All right. And it's ready to go. My oven is preheating. It's nice and hot. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and get the different seasonings put together in our dredge. I need you to move out of the camera, please. Okay. You're in the way of the camera. Please move. All right. So you guys can see here, we've got the flour. Okay. I've got a couple paper plates. Again, dishes, not my favorite. So what I'm going to have you do first is make a seasoned flour. This is going to be the base of our dredge. Okay. So I'm going to grab a measuring cup here and put some of the flour onto my plate. Probably about 1/3 of a cup of flour. Okay. So on my plate, then I'm going to season it. And I'm going to season it really heavily here. So I'm doing about 3 good pinches of kosher salt. Okay. And then I'm going to take my fresh cracked pepper. Oh boy, if I can get the lid off. There it is. Okay. All right. And I want a good bit of, please stop moving the camera. And then I want a good bit of the fresh pepper. Okay. The reason I do the fresh pepper versus like shaker pepper, which shaker pepper is totally fine, is just because I want the flavor to be a little more intense, and the fresh cracked pepper has that more intense flavor. So other things you can add to this. You've got options, okay? You could do like onion or garlic powder. You could do paprika. You could do cumin. One thing my family really likes is barbecue seasonings. This is one of our barbecue seasonings from one of our favorite restaurants back home in Texas. So sometimes I put some of that in there. You could throw taco seasoning in there, seasoning salt, anything like that, okay? Whatever flavor you like, go for it. Okay, so I just take my hand and I just kind of mix this together. If we were at school, I'd be making you use a spoon or a whisk because you'd be serving it to other people. But the only people that are going to eat this are my family, and I cook for them with my hands all the time, so it's okay to use my hands because it's not in a professional setting, okay? If we were at school, we'd be using tools, right? Okay, so now my seasoned flour is ready to go, okay? Then we're going to crack the eggs. So I've got 2 eggs. I'm going to crack them right in here into a bowl. Okay. All right. Don't be afraid of eggs. You notice that I put them on a flat surface. The reason I use a flat surface is because then it doesn't knock any broken eggshells into the eggs. If you do it like on the edge of a bowl or on the edge of a counter, you actually knock the eggshells into the egg. And then you got to fish them out. So doing it like this means you don't have to fish out eggshells. Okay. I'm whisking together my egg really, really good because I don't want it to be all like chunky. If you've ever cracked an egg and tried to mix it up, sometimes you notice the white, which is called the albumin, that clear part of the egg, and the yolk don't like to mix together very well, or the albumin stays really like gloopy.
Yeah.
Okay, so we mix it really good and kind of aerate it. Okay, eggs are like food glue. Okay,
Yes.
you've probably heard me say that. No, my 8th graders have heard me say it. So 8th grade food glue is the egg. Okay, eggs are sticky. If you've ever like cracked an egg and gotten it on your hand, you know it. Like it's already on my fingers. Like my fingers are sticking to it. That's why they're so essential to baking. Down, please. That's why they're so essential to baking because they hold all those really loose, dry parts together. Okay, and they're essential for anything you want to make breaded, anything you want to make fried. You've got to have that like sticky component. There are vegan options that you can use. There's like a flaxseed, like a ground flaxseed paste and stuff you can make. But you've got to have that sticky element. So eggs are a great way to do that. Buttermilk is another way to do that, and that's also on the recipe as an option. Okay. Last thing I'm going to do is my breadcrumbs. Now, here's the fun part. You can bread food in anything. So one of my favorite things to bread chicken in is hot Cheetos. Okay. And you're like, oh my gosh, really? Yeah, hot Cheetos. Okay, hot Cheetos. It's amazing. So here's what you do. Anything that is like from a grain and is crunchy, you can use as breading. Cornflakes make incredible breading. One of my favorites. Any type of chip, okay, you can like crunch it up inside of a cereal bag. Yeah, my son's eating Pringles right now.
Pringles.
You can crunch it up inside of like a grocery or a Ziploc, okay, until it's like crumbs. All right. You can buy pre-done breadcrumbs. Ritz crackers make a delicious breading. All of those. Okay. Your recipe obviously has the measurements. Again, I'm making more at home than I would make in the recipe, so I need to make a little bit more. Okay. But these are panko. Panko are a Japanese breadcrumb, and they are super duper crunchy. Okay. So you guys can see how big they are.
Yeah.
Okay. These are big breadcrumbs, and they are super duper crunchy. Okay,
No,
so we
very
like
nice.
panko for that. But you don't have to use panko. You could buy, please stop. You could buy
Like
pre-seasoned Italian breadcrumbs. Stop. Now you need to go wash your hands, please. Thank you. See, same rules apply at home. Okay. So any of that would work. Pre-seasoned Italian breadcrumbs are great because they add an extra oomph of flavor. Okay. But the panko is not seasoned, so I'm going to season the panko. All right. Let's see. What do you want to do with the panko? How about Creole? Okay, so you guys know I'm from the South. I love my Cajun food. Creole seasoning is basically just a mix of salts, different peppers, and some spices like cumin and cayenne pepper, paprika, garlic, onion, all those delicious flavors. Okay, and Creole seasoning is a little spicy, so if you like a little bit of heat, Creole seasoning is a good way to do that. Okay, so again, I'm just going to mix the Creole. Into the panko. No, because you didn't wash your hands.
Yes, I did.
I need to hear the faucet. Go.
Cooking with this.
I need to hear the faucet. Go. See, it's the same. All right.
Cooking with that mom.
So, anyways, now my oven just went off. It means it's hot. We're gonna get the chicken ready. Okay. So I'm gonna clear my workstation off here a little bit, put some things away, or at least out of the way. I might need more of them. Okay. All right. Get my dredging set up here in order. Okay. I also have a couple pair of tongs. You can totally do this with your hands, but I don't want to turn into like monster fingers. When you bread things, when you do the dry, wet, dry, your hands get really messy. So we're going to use tongs instead. Okay. All right. Let's get the chicken ready. Thank you. Did you dry them? They still look wet. Go use the towel, please. Okay. See? All right.
Same rules apply with me and Mom.
Okay. Yep. Same rules apply to you that apply to my students. You know that. All right. So I'm actually going to use chicken thighs. Excuse me. I need to get these out so I can dry them. I'm using chicken thighs instead of chicken breasts. I like thighs more. They're a little bit more expensive than breasts, which is why we usually use breasts at school. But chicken thighs are delicious. They're an incredibly flavorful part of the chicken. They're technically considered dark meat. Okay. So they are
I know what's next.
nice and juicy. Please go put this in the trash.
I literally.
Please put that in the trash.
It's my part.
So I'm just drying the chicken off. You never want to wash poultry. So if you are like, oh, you need to wash that. No. We don't wash poultry. For a couple reasons. A, it doesn't need it. And B, all it does is spread raw poultry germs around in your sink. And then you've got to like sterilize everything. And you don't know where it's like, splashing to. I mean, you can now have like raw poultry stuff on your windows. It's just not a good idea. Okay. So I've got my, please stop. You need to set these down. I've got my chicken now nice and dried off. Okay. Hold on. All right. My kitchen assistant here. Please go put this in the trash. Kitchen assistant.
Why do I have to be your
Because-
kitchen assistant?
You don't. You can go back and do your homework.
No. I want to do.
So now we are going to cut the chicken into tenders.
Bye.
Stop. You're blocking the camera again.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Stop it.
So we are now going to cut the chicken into tenders. Whenever you are cooking meat, especially, it is extremely important that you try to make everything the same size. Okay, because we want it to cook evenly. Now, thighs have a little more fat on them, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It also means they have more flavor. Please stop. Okay, so I'm going to get these thighs cut into some tender type pieces. You can buy tenders. You can actually buy like the chicken tender. It's actually a part of the breast. You could also cut these into like little nuggets if you wanted and make them even smaller. Sometimes that's easier to get a uniform shape. Okay. Thighs are a little irregular in shape. So this would be a good this would be a good cut of meat to use for nuggets as well.
I'm not cutting this part.
Okay.
Cut that piece off.
All right. So I'm just cutting them into strips so that I can make some tenders. Okay. If you get any pieces, excuse me, if you get any pieces that are really kind of like sinewy, so sinew is like the connective tissue. Okay, so if you get any pieces that are really sinewy, you can cut that off. No, this is raw meat. You can cut fruits and vegetables, but I don't want you to cut raw meat. You can cut cooked meat, but not raw meat. You need to go in the other room, please.
No, you're not. I know you're kitchen.
All right. So I've got one of the thighs ready to go. So now let's talk about the system. All right. Before I even start breading and dredging, I'm actually going to go ahead and season the chicken again. Okay. So
easy.
this is my dry hand. My right hand is my dry hand. Okay. So I didn't put anything on it as far as like raw food goes. Okay. Teddy, you've been touching the raw food. You need to
No,
stop.
I do not.
Okay. So now I've got my seat. You're in the way of the camera. I need you to move. Okay. So now that we've got the seasoned chicken, I'm going to put it in the flour here in the dry. Okay. And I want to make sure that I get flour all over it so it no longer has pink spots. They're all nice and white. Okay. And then I'm just going to throw them there in the egg. Okay. All right. You want to shake off any excess. Okay. The reason we put the flour on first, the flour is seasoned, first of all, but then it also absorbs any excess moisture that's in the chicken. Okay. And then it allows the egg to stick to the dry stuff. Okay. The egg isn't going to stick to something if it's wet. So we get it really, really dry using the flour. If you can't have gluten, if you are in a gluten-free household, you don't have to use flour. You could use potato starch. You could use cornstarch. Those would all work for the task at hand. Okay, so now it's not been cut. So now these are in the egg. I'm just gonna kind of push them down in here with my tongs. Okay, and I'm gonna put, Teddy, stop. Those are not for that. Those are for cooked chicken. Okay, and then I'm gonna put the eggy pieces into the panko breadcrumbs. Okay, and then the egg, like I said, it is food glue. The panko sticks beautifully to the chicken when you use the egg. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and just lay those pieces of chicken right onto my baking sheet. Okay, so I put them right on here after they've been rolled in the breadcrumbs. Again, remember, like I said, if you use something instead of breadcrumbs that is super seasoned, like if you want to use hot Cheetos or Takis or Doritos or something like that, totally fine. You're blocking the camera again. But again, remember that they're already seasoned. So, and they're seasoned very strongly. So you're not going to need to season the breading part. You're not going to need to season that dry part. Okay, because they already have so much flavor in them. All right, you only season this last step if it's not flavorful on its own. So like if you were using Italian breadcrumbs, I wouldn't have you season it. Because again, they already have all that seasoning, including salt in them. Okay, so I seasoned my panko with that Creole seasoning. Excuse me, you're in the way and you're blocking the camera. I seasoned my panko with that Creole seasoning, okay, because the panko doesn't have any seasoning of its own, okay. If you're gonna do a lot of chicken, so like the recipe that you guys have access to from class really does about one large chicken breast, okay, and this is a really large chicken thigh that I just cut up, okay, so I'm gonna have to remake this stuff a couple times, okay. And that's no, that's not what that's for. That's for cooked food. Okay. So, all right. So once these are all breaded and dredged, okay. All right. Get them all nice and covered with all the yummy bits. Okay. You want to check for any like folds in the chicken that you might have missed. I just found one. Okay. So I'm gonna get that nice and coated. Please stop. I told you those are for dry. Now they need to be washed. Or for cooked. Now they need to be washed. Okay. So once those are done, we're going to pop them in the oven. They're going to cook for about 15 minutes, 7 minutes roughly on each side. You don't have to flip them. Just know that if you don't flip them, one side will be darker than the other. Okay. Okay. So I am going to put these in the oven. I will post pictures in the comments of what they look like when they are done. And I miss having you guys in class. I will do a dessert live. We didn't get to it last week.
Yes.
Because, okay. But I will do a dessert live. I promise. And you guys can see what some of my favorite desserts are to make this time of year. So peach cobbler for sure is on the list, and maybe even chocolate chip cookies, because I make a mean chocolate chip cookie. All right. I love you guys. These are going to go in the oven for 15 minutes. I'm going to post pictures in the comments when they're done. But this is a super easy way to make something really tasty. And it's way less expensive than going and buying a ton of chicken tenders at Culver's or McDonald's or whatever. Plus, they're not dry and frozen. All right. Talk to you guys later. Well.